For more than 1,000 years, Constantinople stood as one of the most powerful and resilient cities in the world. Founded in 330 AD by Emperor Constantine the Great, the city was built to be the new capital of the Roman Empire. Strategically positioned between Europe and Asia, it controlled vital trade routes and commanded the narrow waters of the Bosporus Strait. Over centuries, while the Western Roman Empire collapsed, Constantinople endured. It became the heart of the Byzantine Empire, preserving Roman law, Greek scholarship, and Christian tradition. Its massive defensive walls, especially the Theodosian walls built in the 5th century, made it nearly impregnable. Armies had tried and failed to capture it: Persians, Arabs, Bulgars, and Rus. Forces all tested its defenses. Each time, the city survived. But by the 15th century, the Byzantine Empire was no longer a great power. It had been weakened by internal conflict, economic decline, and devastating events such as the Fourth Crusade in 1204, when Western Crusaders sacked the city. Although the Byzantines later regained control, the empire never fully recovered. By the early 1400s, Constantinople was reduced to a small territory surrounded almost entirely by the rising Ottoman Empire. The once mighty empire had become a shadow of its former self. To the east, the Ottomans were expanding rapidly. Under the leadership of Sultan Mehmed II, who became Sultan in 1451 at just 19 years old, the Ottomans were determined to capture Constantinople. Mehmed understood the city's importance. It was not only a strategic prize, but also a symbol. Whoever controlled Constantinople would command the crossroads of continents and inherit the prestige of Rome. Mehmed began preparing carefully. He strengthened the Ottoman navy and constructed a massive fortress called Rumeli Hisara on the European side of the Bosporus. This fortress allowed the Ottomans to control shipping traffic and cut off supplies reaching the city from the Black Sea. Meanwhile, he commissioned the construction of enormous cannons, including a giant bombard designed by a Hungarian engineer named Orban. These cannons were capable of firing massive stone balls that could break even the strongest walls. Inside Constantinople, Emperor Constantine XI Palaiologos knew the danger was approaching. His resources were limited. The city's population had declined significantly, and the empire could field only a small army. In total, defenders numbered perhaps 7,000 to 8,000 men, including Byzantine soldiers and foreign volunteers, among them a contingent of Genoese troops led by Giovanni Giustiniani. They prepared the walls, repaired weak points, and gathered supplies. They also stretched a massive chain across the entrance to the Golden Horn to prevent enemy ships from entering the harbor. On April 6, 1453, the siege began. Ottoman forces, estimated at between 60,000 and 80,000 soldiers, surrounded the city. Cannons were positioned opposite the land walls, and the bombardment started. Day after day, massive stones struck the Theodosian walls. Although the walls were strong and defenders repaired them each night, the repeated artillery fire slowly weakened their structure. This marked a turning point in military history. Gunpowder weapons were transforming warfare, making ancient fortifications vulnerable. The Ottomans attacked from both land and sea. Their navy attempted to breach the Golden Horn, but was blocked by the heavy chain barrier. In response, Mehmed executed one of the most daring maneuvers of the siege. He ordered ships to be transported overland, dragged across greased logs and hills, and launched into the Golden Horn behind the defensive chain. This bold move shocked the defenders and allowed Ottoman forces to pressure the city from multiple directions. The siege continued for weeks. There were repeated assaults, intense artillery bombardments, and constant skirmishes. Food supplies inside the city began to dwindle. Despite the odds, morale remained surprisingly resilient. Religious processions were held through the streets, and prayers echoed in Hagia Sophia, the grand cathedral that had stood for nearly 1,000 years as a symbol of Byzantine faith and power. By late May, the walls were severely damaged. Mehmed prepared for a final, full-scale assault. In the early hours of May 29, 1453, Ottoman forces launched their decisive attack. Waves of soldiers advanced toward the weakened sections of the wall. The first attacks were repelled, but the pressure did not stop. Eventually, at a critical point near the gate of St. Romanus, a breach was created. Around the same time, Giovanni Giustiniani was wounded and withdrawn from the battlefield, weakening the defenders' morale. As Ottoman troops pushed through the breach, resistance began to collapse. Emperor Constantine XI reportedly removed his imperial insignia and joined the fighting as an ordinary soldier. According to most accounts, he died in combat, though his body was never definitively identified. With his death, the Byzantine Empire effectively came to an end. By mid-morning, Ottoman banners were raised over the city. Constantinople had fallen. After more than 11 centuries, the Eastern Roman Empire was no more. Mehmed II entered the city later that day. He is said to have ridden directly to Hagia Sophia, which was soon converted into a mosque. While the city experienced looting and destruction in the immediate aftermath, Mehmed also took steps to preserve and repopulate it. He declared Constantinople the new capital of the Ottoman Empire. Over time, it would become known as Istanbul. The fall of Constantinople had enormous global consequences. It marked the definitive end of the Roman imperial tradition that had begun in ancient times. It also solidified the Ottoman Empire as a dominant power in southeastern Europe and the eastern Mediterranean. Control of key trade routes shifted, influencing European powers to search for alternative paths to Asia. Some historians argue that this search contributed to the age of exploration, including voyages that would reshape world history. The siege also symbolized the transition from medieval warfare to the early modern age. The successful use of large-scale artillery demonstrated that even the strongest medieval walls were no longer invincible. Military strategy would never be the same again. Today, the former Constantinople, modern Istanbul, remains one of the world's most historically layered cities. The walls still stand in parts, weathered but powerful reminders of that dramatic spring in 1453. Hagia Sophia still dominates the skyline, bearing witness to centuries of transformation. The fall of the city was not just the end of an empire. It was a turning point between eras, between worlds, between old powers and new. In the final moments before dawn on May 29, 1453, an empire that had survived plagues, invasions, and internal strife for more than a millennium faced its last sunrise. When the sun rose over the Bosporus that morning, it illuminated not only a conquered city, but the beginning of a new chapter in global history.